Death and destruction are ever-present constants. No matter what the cause might be, or how long it took to achieve. Be it a century of war, a decade of disease, or even a simple accident which takes place in a single moment. It changes nothing with the certainty of death. When it comes, it is here to stay. But death is simply one part in a grand cycle. And even at the end of the very universe itself, life finds a way. Welcome back, my students, to another lecture on the colliding worlds. Today, we cover an elusive group known as the Flamekeepers, a collection of soldiers, scientists, and a general amalgamation of intellectuals and workers from a dead universe. As always, if you like this kind of content, be sure to like the video, push it for the algorithm, leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are, and if there's anything else you want me to cover in the future, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe. Now, without further ado, let us begin. Originating from a universe that has mostly destroyed itself through warfare with weapons capable of collapsing the universe into lower dimensions, the Flamekeepers stand as a bastion of survival in this era of death, surviving the cataclysm by escaping into a pocket dimension. It would be here that they would construct the massive complex known as the Citadel, and would continue to inhabit it for 100 generations, and it now serves as the primary headquarters of the Flamekeepers. When their organization was first established, their initial focus was on the sustainment of the population, and as such, the Citadel was first and foremost constructed as a completely self-sufficient habitat. Unfortunately, though, they would soon discover that the consequences of dimensional collapse were far more dire than originally predicted. For strange, shadowy entities began manifesting in the outer reaches of the pocket dimension that housed the Citadel. These beings proved highly erratic and nearly unpredictable, save for one aspect: their universal aggression and drive to advance towards humanity's last bastion. Fortunately, the Flamekeepers had access to advanced quantum deconstructor weaponry that proved highly effective against the pseudo-matter that comprised the entity's chaotic forms, completely erasing them from existence when hit. And so it was, for 100 generations, war was waged against these apparitions of irreality, often more casually called Geists. It was during this war that several other pocket dimensions were discovered, many of which had been wiped out either by the apparitions or in conflicts between the inhabitants. These would become known as the Dead Worlds, through which several campaigns were eventually launched, until the first multiversal rift was discovered. Such a discovery would go on to change everything. For this meant that the Flamekeepers could now travel to universes untouched by the ravages of dimensional warfare. Eventually, they would discover a way to untether the Citadel from the Flamekeepers' home universe, and instead bring it to another, granting them much greater safety from the Geist. And it was through this change that the second shift in the Order's priorities came. Seeing the many universes filled with boundless possibilities for life to thrive, they resolved to ensure that no other force in the multiverse could wield the same kind of weapons that destroyed their ancestral home. Scouts and spies alike were dispatched to these many worlds, discovering their capabilities and painting targets where necessary. Assassinations and surgical strikes began to be conducted against groups who threatened to develop such technologies. At first, the factions of the multiverse were content to point fingers at one another, believing their traditional rivals must be responsible. However, slowly but surely, the breadcrumb trail led back to the Flamekeepers, especially as operations have expanded to destroy or confiscate more and more types of technology. For as worlds collide, the Guardians of the Citadel stand ready for the hubris of those who have not seen the end of days. And that concludes our lesson for this week. Once again, if you stayed this far, thank you so much for watching. And do be sure to promote it in any way you can. It will help immensely with the algorithm, especially with how temperamental it is. And with that out of the way, I hope to see you next time.